Hello, good evening now, everybody. Welcome back to the Slap in VR, so called because I'm your host, Vincent Rodriguez, and here we talk all things sports, life, and people. Today, I am honored to have a recent transfer over to Corvallis. He's back in his home state. If you follow Oregon State football, undoubtedly you've heard of him and his brother. And if you followed Idaho football, you know about them even more. But today, I got the defensive side of the coin today. So I'd like to welcome Mr. Dylan Layne to the show. Happy to have
What's
you.
up, man? Thanks for having me, man. Appreciate
So
it.
how you enjoying Corvallis so far?
It's great, man. It's great to be home. I got there in January, so just it's like an hour away from where I'm from, and I'm from Lake Oswego, just a small town outside Portland. And yeah, it's like an hour away from home. It's been great to come back on weekends, see my family, see my dog. And then obviously this fall I'll have a lot of family at games, and yeah, it's really been great.
So are you excited to actually be in a conference now instead of just being the Pac-2?
Yeah, for sure. I think the general buzz around Corvallis is just that, it's time to take over this new conference and impose our will and prove ourselves. So definitely a lot of excitement.
Did you get to attend any of the launch features for the Pac-12 stuff at Oregon State?
They didn't have a traditional media day in that sense, which is a shame, honestly. I don't know why they didn't decide to have it. I think they're doing a lot of virtual stuff, virtual podcasts and interviews with coaches and players. So I haven't done anything yet for that, but our coaches have, and that's been cool. But it would have been nice to have a media day in Vegas or LA or something like that. But it's all good.
Well, so I guess that's a good jumping off point since you mentioned earlier. So you said you grew up in what was it Lake Oswego? Is that how
Lake
you say it?
Oswego, yes, Lake
Oswego.
Oswego. Yep.
So that's kind of known as little. It literally is a town right on the lake. So it's kind of known
Mhm.
as a bit more of a affluent, rich area. So
Bougie,
what
yes, it
bougie?
is known as bougie.
So what drew you and Jack to football instead of doing croquet or tennis or
Oh,
badminton
wow.
or stuff like that?
Um, well, we come from kind of a sports family, a football family. We have an uncle that played linebacker at Ohio State and then played in the NFL for 2 or 3 years. Really good player. His name's
Oh yeah,
Greg Belisari.
with the Bucks, right? You play with the
Yeah,
Bucks.
with the Bucks,
Yeah.
he was with the Raiders, I think, for a year or 2. So yeah, just a great, role model to have growing up and would always push us around, stuff like that. We always looked up to him. You go in his house and you see pictures of him at the Rose Bowl, celebrating after like all that cool stuff. So yeah, I mean, having a guy like that in your life definitely brings you to the game. And then just having a twin brother, I would say, just growing up, always competing in, literally everything that you do, right? Whether it's academics or obviously sports, even like girls and stuff like that. Like you're really competing in everything you do. It just makes you, want to chase something. And for us, that was football. So, and then it all worked out.
So back then, who was the better athlete and who's the better athlete now?
I think he's got a little more elusiveness to him. Obviously, got a better arm. Obviously, probably a little better looking because he's a quarterback. But I'll take being, the stronger and grittier of the two. I'll take that any day, especially as a linebacker. But yeah, we've always been pretty close in all those metrics. So
So you guys played high school football together. You were a bit of a hybrid player because you played both sides. You played safety
yep.
and tight end. So from that standpoint, what was that kind of transition like? Having to play deep in the field and then playing inline blocking. What was that kind of
Yeah.
like?
Well, first you mentioned tight end. I mean, I always wanted to be like a wide receiver. I mean, as everyone does growing up, especially with having a quarterback brother. Like I wanted to be wide receiver, obviously. But, as I kinda grew into my body, you come to realize you're not fast enough to be a receiver in college, so I moved to tight end, but, I'm not big enough to be a tight end in college. So yeah, and then when I got recruited, it was a lot of like, "Hey, you're gonna have to drop down in the box and play linebacker in college," and I was like, "Yeah, sign me up, whatever you need, whatever it takes." And so I think being a safety, like you said, being back there, it kind of helped me learn the game a lot more, especially with coverage and stuff like that. So it was a pretty easy transition, I would say. I just wanted to be on the field as much as I could. I mean, that's what every high school player wants. So we had some good receivers my senior year, and we had a good running back. So the best, natural position for me was tight end. And then yeah, it was cool to play both ways. I mean, people say high school football is the best time of your life, and they're not wrong because you're literally playing every play, and it's like a dream come true. So, I mean, I was catching passes from Jack, and it was great. So,
And you guys played for a pretty legendary coach up there, I understand it.
yeah,
So what was that
yeah,
kinda
Coach
like
Steve
playing for
Core,
him?
he's a great coach, man, unbelievable. I When I came back here a few weeks ago, I got to go to some of their summer practices, and just the guy is just a gem, man. He cares about all the kids in the community. He comes from a great coaching family. His dad coached or his grandpa coached in the NFL. His dad coached at Mater Dei and coached in college, and I think he had some stints in the league too. But, he wanted to coach high school, and he wanted to, like, because he felt high school football made a difference in kids' lives, and I respect the hell out of him for that. And he's been there 35 years, 2 or 3 state titles, a bunch of appearances, a crazy record. He's one of the all-time winningest coaches in Oregon. So, yeah, he's really a legend.
So, by the time the time came for you guys to head up to college, was there ever it was you said it's only like 10 miles up the road. Was there ever any thought given to Portland State, or was it Idaho all the way?
I had an offer from Portland State as a tight end, actually. That was my only offensive offer. I thought that was pretty cool, being a 6'1" tight end, getting an opportunity. But they didn't really look at Jack, honestly, and I think we kinda wanted to play together. So, Idaho was the only school to really honor that or give us a chance. So, yeah, we chose Moscow.
And that ended up being great timing because another great
Mhm.
football family was coming into Idaho with, Coach Eck and,
Yeah,
Jackson.
no doubt.
So, what was that kinda like being at the very beginning of that great turnaround? Because before that time, there Idaho had only had 2 winning seasons in the past 20 years or so. So what was that kinda being like being in on the ground floor of that
Yeah.
transformation?
Yeah, we were part of his first recruiting class. So even before Jackson had gotten there, me and Jack were part of his first ever freshman class. And I wouldn't have even got an offer there if they didn't come in late like they did. So they he got the job, I think, in December or something, and then that signing day is like early January. So they had about a month to, put together a recruiting class and scramble to get commits. And I think um he kinda just stumbled on me and Jack, We were still uncommitted, and we were 2 of, relatively the top players in the area. So, I mean, it was just really God's timing, honestly, and it all worked out, so really thankful to him for that.
What was the vision that he kinda sold you on? Because I mean, he's coming into this, it's like, "Hey, I'm coming into a losing
Yeah.
program historically, and I trust you guys are gonna be there to help fix it."
Yeah, his main plan was he was looking at Eastern Washington, and at the time, like 2020, 2021, Eastern Washington was really, really good. And he was like, "Look, we have better facilities, better resources, better uniforms, like all better like more food, better weight room than Eastern Washington. So like why can't we why are they beating us? We recruit the same area, why can't we out recruit them and take some of their guys?" And so he said he thinks Idaho is a sleeping giant in that way because really the Pacific Northwest, there's a lot of great talent, but they haven't really been getting it. Idaho hadn't been getting it up to when he took over. So he's like, "Look, we're going to tap into the local kids. We're going to develop them with our great staff that knows that they can win, and then see what happens." And obviously, it worked out. It's working in Albuquerque too. So he's really a great coach, and his staff is elite also.
So you basically come in 2022 and you play like maybe one game, but then 2023 you actually start all 13 games. So what was that kind of progression like from, kind of watching on the field most parts to heading right into the action under the Rob Ulrich defense?
Yeah, Coach Orch's defense was great because it's very simple and it really just lets you play fast. So we had a lot of young guys that were able to step in and play a ton. Um, yeah, so and obviously looking back, I really wasn't ready to play as probably as much as I did my second year, but we had some injuries and I was probably my mental part of my game was a lot better than where I was physically. So I think that kind of let me get on the field earlier than maybe some other guys. But yeah, it was really great always playing early because the best players are the most experienced. So
And then, so what are kind of the staples of an all-rich defense? Because from what I understand, he operates out of a 4-2-5, so that's more of a
Yep.
nickel package. So what are kind of those schemes, and what is your kind of role in that defense?
Yeah, well, he junks up the front a lot, which for linebackers it kind of takes a lot of the thinking out of it in run fits. So you're not necessarily playing gaps. You're more just playing the ball carrier and playing leverage. So that really helps a lot of young players who have a hard time seeing. Am I in the A gap? Am I in the B gap? Okay, what if he pulls? Stuff like that. So his defense takes a lot of thinking out of it, I would say.
And for what I've been told, a lot of staples his style of defense, and pretty much a lot of styles of Idaho defenses at the time, was predicated on stopping the run. What
Yep.
would you say are some of the key factors that allows the defense to stop the run so well? And then what are your responsibilities and duties as a linebacker from that
Yeah, that's a
aspect?
good question. And honestly, in my opinion, a defense that stops the run has really good DBs because you can leave them on an island, you can load the box, you can get more eyes to the box, more eyes on the quarterback. And I think that's what we're able to do with his 2 years there. We had really good corners on the outside in, guys like Marcus Harris, who's on the Titans, guys like Andrew Marshall, who's now starting for Nebraska. Like, when you have those guys on the outside playing one-on-one, you can be like, "Okay, we're good." We don't have to cloud the boundary and keep 2 guys over 1 receiver. You can really focus on stopping the run. So and then the more hats you get in the box, the more free hitters you're gonna get, the harder it is for running back to find a seam. So it's really just math at the end of the day.
And then, so I have to ask this because I mentioned it earlier. I mentioned, the launch party earlier, but so my college team, I'm actually a fan of Boise State. So
Okay, yeah.
that's how I learned about the Kibby Dome when they used to play each other in the rivalry
Yeah.
game. So what was it kind of like playing in that environment? Because that's a very unique stadium in college
Mhm.
football.
Yeah, the Kibby's sick. I remember the first time I saw it, I was like, "Oh my gosh, this is massive." And it's got all those like almost reflective panels on the roof, and it literally just sound just bounces off of it. So there can be 10,000 people in there, and it feels like you're in Austin with 55,000. It's crazy. And we had a few sold out games there, especially in that 2023 season when both the Montanas came to town. Those were just electric environments, man. It's definitely a place you got to go if you haven't been. It's cool.
So having Jack there with you, basically operating the offense, and then you and Jackson mostly operating the defense, was that kind of an advantage to you to have the basically the quarterback of the team helping you, like, guide you through, different shifts or motions or schemes or whatever the offense would run? So you basically have the offensive
Yeah.
playbook right next to you.
hmm Yeah, I remember my freshman year also when I wasn't playing, me and Jack would watch film all the time in the dorms. And because I was just curious, what they're running, what he's looking at, stuff like that. So we definitely helped each other a lot, just learn the game. And looking back on it now, I'm going into my 5th year, just all that accumulation of knowledge that you get is just great. So, especially having a guy like that in your corner, we still to this day. I mean, he just got home. He just got off the plane earlier, and we were already just watching my summer film with him, just going over what my offense is running at Oregon State and what he likes, stuff like that. So, I mean, it's just we're always constantly talking ball and sending videos to each other of schemes and just yeah, it's really cool.
So off the top of your head, what would you say is one of the more like unique or aspects that you didn't think about that he kind of told you when you looked at it? You're like, oh, I never would have seen that if you didn't hear it from the other side of the ball.
I would say, like, if you look at the RPO game these days, it's a lot simpler than you'd think. It's really just like I said earlier, it's more of a math equation, it's a numbers game. So when a QB is reading an RPO, they're just looking at bodies over bodies in space. So let's say it's a picture where there's 2 receivers split out, and that number 2 receiver is running like a bubble, and it's an inside handoff with a RPO where you can throw the bubble. So all he's gonna do is check the depth of the safety and like the tightness of the nickel. And if he thinks that they have numbers out there, he's gonna throw it. If he thinks they're farther enough away, playing close to the receiver, he's gonna hand it off. So that's literally and I was like, "It's that simple, huh?" He's like, "Yep, it's that simple. It's a split second decision. If they blitz, I throw it out there. Otherwise, I just read their alignment and I make the decision." So it's just stuff like that you don't really think about when you're on defense. It's just cool, to pick his brain.
I guess another part to that question I wanted to ask was that, so, obviously from the quarterback's perspective, they could be looking at the Mike linebackers and calling out those kind of alignments. From your
Mhm.
perspective as a linebacker, what are you looking at on the offensive side that kind of helps you determine the play that they're running or the
Yeah,
scheme?
good question. I think every player is a little different, but I'm a big formation guy. So when I watch film, I look strictly at formations and then what teams do in those formations on certain areas of the field and also certain downs and distances. So if a team comes out and trips in 1st and 10, that's going to be a lot different than they come out and trips on 3rd and 18, obviously. But I look at stuff like that. And then there's probably usually 3 or 4 specific formations that I'll recognize, including like backfield sets. And then when a team comes out on it, I know, okay, they're probably running this play or this play. And then based on those 2 plays that I've seen, I'll key in on, let's say, the tight end if I think it's going to be a certain run play. And then that's my key. I don't know if that makes sense, but I'm a very like schematic formations type of guy when I watch film.
Huh. So that's an interesting way to look at it. So I
Yeah.
like how kind of you look at hold
Well,
the
'cause
more
I've
wider
I've seen
picture
a
of it.
I've seen a lot of football, and a lot of offenses right now are very similar, when they run certain formations, especially backfield sets. And when I say backfield sets, I mean like where the tight end is relation to the running back. So are they on the same side? Are they on the different side? Is the tight end off the ball? Is he on the ball and he's heavy? Is the guard heavy? Like things like that. Where when you play a lot of football, you kind of just know. And Jackson's the same way. If you ask him, he knows all that stuff. So
Actually, out of curiosity, I've wondered this. So from your perspective as a linebacker, 'cause I don't even know if there's many colleges that even run that style of offense, but is it do you guys find it easier to kind of attack the offensives that run exclusively just off the clap cadence? Or is it about the same between the clap cadence and the traditional cadences?
a good question. I would say it's usually about the same, but the only difference is if you have a verbal cadence, like by the 3rd or 4th quarter, I would say a good defense, especially a good D line, is going to pick up on that, and they're going to start jumping it, which can almost be a double edged sword because you can use hard count against it if guys like Keyshawn James Newby are jumping the snap. You know what I mean? But yeah, it's definitely harder to pick up on the clap cadence because teams do dummy claps and they'll clap freaking 4 times before they stop the ball. And it's like, come on, but you know,
So
yeah.
we enter the 2025 season, and at that point, Jackson had left, and Coach Eck had left, and Jack had left. So basically, you're coming into this with a new coach, a new defensive coordinator, and you're basically going to be the star of the defense. So what was that kind of like? Kind of taking on that leadership role, and then not only that, but also having to operate on your own for the first time and basically
Yeah.
ever.
Yeah. So starting with Jack leaving, it was definitely, you know, an adjustment period. I mean, me and Jack have been worked together for what, 20 straight years of our life, always living under the same roof, under like doing everything together. We had probably hadn't been apart for more than 3 hours in our whole life. And now, he moves away. So that was a little different. But I tell people it definitely brought us closer because we cherish the time that we now get to spend together, which is cool. In terms of the team and the leadership role, I think it was really cool to step into being a veteran on the team because I think guys really respected me for staying, and I tried my best to work really hard and gain the respect of all the new guys that we brought in, and then the new staff that Coach Ford brought in was really good too. Coach Court Dennison was my DC at Idaho. He's actually now at Oregon State with me. We sort of went here together, but he's just a phenomenal coach. I love him to death. Um, so yeah, just a combination of you know, guys trusting me trusting the staff, and I'm just glad it worked out the way it did, really.
Was there ever any thought to heading over to Albuquerque, or was it always set on Moscow?
I think maybe a little bit just because all my best friends were leaving, and, a coach that I really, really trusted was leaving. But I think I kinda knew right away I wanted to stay, kind of carved my own path in a way.
So you mentioned Coach Dennison earlier. So he takes over as your new DC. What's the kind of style and scheme of defense that he runs, and what are your responsibilities? Because that was your breakout year. That was the
Yeah,
best year you've had of your career so far.
yeah.
So what was it about his system that kind of allowed you to blossom in that huge way?
Yeah, I think one, it was a lot. You know, he came. I met with him the first day I got there. Wanted to see what he wanted to run, and he had a lot of great ideas. And for a guy like me, I think that really helped me play and shine because I'm a very cerebral guy. I feel like the best part of my game, like I said earlier, is the mental part. I'm able to, run a lot of calls and have a lot of checks, on my mind based on like what the offense is doing. So that's kind of what he wanted to do. He wanted to run a lot of stuff. And I was like, well, okay, let me learn all of it. And I learned it really fast. And then I was able to play really fast that first spring that he was there. And then I think he just gained a lot of trust in me because of that. And then in terms of like his style of defense, it's very aggressive. So we blitz a lot, which naturally you're going to have a lot of opportunities to get TFLs and sacks and havoc plays and stuff like that. So I was free a lot as, if I wasn't blitzing, I was kind of that off the ball, stack player that made everyone right. And I was able to make a lot of plays doing that too. So yeah, we were very aggressive and it kind of hurt us at times. We were a little young in the secondary, but it was a fun year. Fun for sure, flying around.
Uh, how is that adjustment as far as like taking over as the green dot? Was that kind of a difficult transition to have, having to like call all the plays and set guys up, or is that just kind of came all naturally to you?
Yeah, it took some getting used to at first, but we repped it a lot that first spring and in fall camp. So by the time game 1 came, it was second nature. Wasn't too bad.
And what would you say some of the trademarks of that defense are? Besides the blitzing, like, is it more predicated on just constantly getting negative plays no matter what they are, be it picks, interceptions, and stopping the run, or is it kind of just predicated on just always pressure to make sure that they get stuck in one type of play?
Yeah, definitely stopping the run, kind of a lot like Orch's defense. But I would say one of the main differences is, we didn't really have the depth on the back end. We had a lot of young corners, some young safeties that were figuring it out a little bit, and that kind of hurt us at times. I would say that like Orch's teams, like I said earlier, we were very deep on the back end, some great corners. So yeah, I mean, you give Dennison's defense with the personnel that we had in 23 and 24, and we would have been elite. But we had a good year still, nonetheless.
So that's your breakout season, and basically now you've chosen to go back home. Where did that kind of decision come from? It was just the opportunity to go back home was too good to pass up.
Yeah, I think it was really the only place I considered. Especially once Coach Dennison got the job and he called me and told me that he wanted to take me with him. And I was just like, yeah, let's do it. I don't care. I don't need any money. I just want to prove myself. So,
What would you say are some of the favorite games you got to play in the Kibby Dome?
ooh, I'm gonna go with um 2023 when Montana State came to town. We were coming off the bye week and we had just lost to Montana 2 weeks earlier at home, which was sold out. And then this was another sold out game. Montana State was number 2 in the country in the FCS. And we just dominated them defensively. It was freaking awesome. They had a crazy Q run game where Tommy Millot, if you remember him, he was just a beast on the ground, but we shut him down. And they ended up missing a game winning field goal and we rushed the field. Or they missing a game tying field goal and we rushed the field and it was awesome. Electric, man. Nothing like it.
So you made it to the FCS playoffs a couple of times, and
Mhm.
this is going to be your first year experiencing the FBS system. You got a preference or a pitch to why the FCS might be better, or do you think the FBS system's better?
Well, you know what you're getting, right? You like coming into a season, okay, I need to win 8 games to win my conference to guarantee getting in. Like if you're in the FBS and you have to win 10 games, and even then, if you're at a lower conference, like you might not get in. So that's what I would say. It's a lot more stable, and I think that way the fans can like rally around teams more, and you can give a lot different teams chances to win. Yeah, but I honestly think the FBS is trending towards that eventually. I mean, they're trying slowly, but that could happen.
So walk me through what it was like playing with Jackson, because that was kind of when I interviewed him, he had some very, very interesting answers and very student of the game um,
Mhm.
kind of player. I mean, he's the one who recommended that I interview you first. He had a list ready. He immediately rattled four guys right off the bat. You were one of them. What do you think was the impression that you made on him, and what was it like playing with him?
Well, I think we're kind of built the same way, like body type wise. I mean, we're short, unathletic white guys trying to make it in a sea of talent. You know what I mean? Like there's athletes all around us, and we somehow found ways to get starting jobs. And I think that's just a testament to how hard he works. And then like how hard me and him both study the game. Like we tell people all the time, we've had so many teammates that are great, crazy athletes that could be freaking NFL stars, but they just don't have it up here. You know what I mean? And at the highest levels, like that's the difference is having that edge because you know what the other team's gonna do based off of what you saw in film or a key that a guy's given or stuff like that. So just little things, man.
How are you handling the IR, how are you handling the NIL transition now, since you didn't really have that in the FCS level?
Mhm. Yeah, I mean, you sign a contract when you come in. I told my brother in Jackson this that it's a little different. Like there's a lot more politics at the at the FBS level, just because everyone's getting paid. So there's a lot more egos and guys who think they're entitled to stuff, to whether it's playing time or things like that. But it is interesting just taking a step back and comparing the two. Having seen both. But yeah, it was a smooth transition. But yeah.
They set you guys up with advisors for stuff like that, or like, is there a class, or how does that even work?
Yeah, they help guys out. Um, but like, I just mean like guys are getting paid a decent amount of money, so they think that they should get to play because of that, and they think that they don't need to work as hard. And then you look at a guy like me, like I'm coming from a place where no one's getting paid, and I'm like, well, it shouldn't matter. You should want to work hard because you want to be the best. You know what I mean? So yeah, it's interesting.
I mean, obviously, any team would be good, but I'm sure there's a favorite in mind because I'm sure the next step is going to be the NFL. So,
Mhm.
who you hoping is scouting you this coming season to take a look at you?
I don't know. I mean, my favorite team is the Bills. My mom's family is from Buffalo, all of them. So we grew up Bills fans. This could be the year of the Bills Mafia, man. You never know. That's what we say every year. We say every year is the year, and then they lose. But yeah, Bills. I like to play in Buffalo. That'd be cool. I mean, really anywhere would be cool. It's freaking NFL, but
Well, now I have to ask what you think of those uniforms.
eh, eh. I don't really understand the stripe of the helmet, but the silver's cool. I get the meaning behind it, but yeah, eh.
So, who's your favorite all time Bill?
Um, I mean, Josh Allen's the easy answer. Jim Kelly was a goat. Marshawn Lynch was a Bill at one time. You know, yeah, Josh Allen though, big Josh Allen fan.
So, let's see. There's a little questionnaire that I like to do at the end of
Mhm.
every interview, just because part of my inspiration was Hot Ones for the depth of research, and then also Inside the Actor Studio, which was a great interview thing that would always end on this questionnaire. So if you humor me, I like to go through some of those questions with you, and you just give me the answer that comes right to the straight of your
Yeah,
head.
yeah. Let's do it.
So, what's your favorite word?
Word,
Yeah.
fantastic.
What is your least favorite word?
Um, gosh, I don't know. Complacency.
What is your favorite curse word?
And I say it, and we say it.
Go ahead.
Fuck.
So far, you've been the only one. So far, you've been the only person to actually say it.
Yeah, you don't know if that's a trap or not.
Oh no, this was the trap question because you can
Okay.
interpret it however way you want. What turns you on?
Winning,
Okay, what turns you off?
losing,
What brings you peace?
Praying.
What riles you up?
Saturday nights.
What job or career other than your own would you want to try?
Um, Astronaut.
Really, astronaut. What what about that is attractive to you?
What's not attractive? Get to go in space. Be places that no one else has been.
So you're gonna start talking to Mercury about that, right? With the nuclear engineering?
Oh, yeah.
What job would you absolutely not want to try?
Um, that's a good question. Probably like working on an oil rig or something crazy like that. You're so isolated and just doing the same thing every day.
So if there is an afterlife, what would you like to experience when you first arrive?
Seeing all like my past relatives and family members that died, just all being together.
And obviously, you're still young and you got a lot of football left in you, and you got a whole lot of life left in you. But so this can be just like leaving your legacy at Oregon or Idaho. But what do you believe is the legacy you're going to leave behind?
What do I want it to be or what do I think it's gonna be?
Either one.
Well, what I want it to be is I want to be someone that always treats people right and treats people with respect, no matter like who they are, who I am, or who I think I am. Um, and then I want to be known as someone who worked really, really hard and didn't care what people thought of him.
And then last question: if you could share one piece of advice with the world, what would it be?
Just be kind to people. Yeah.
Couldn't have picked a better one myself. So that has been this latest interview with the man himself, Dylan Layne. Dylan, thank you so much for taking time out of your nights and having dinner and
Yep.
just sitting here chatting. I really appreciate it.
Yeah, this was great. Appreciate you, man.
All right. This has been Vincent Rodriguez with the Slapping VR signing out. Bye.